What's up guys? Welcome to part 2 of my 5-part series of videos entitled A Guide to Switching to Linux Elementary OS Edition. And yes, I know, in my previous video I said that this series would be 6 parts, but actually since I'm not going to be installing Elementary OS on a dual boot with Windows, I'm not going to be making a how to remove Windows part. But anyways, if you haven't seen part 1 of this series, I encourage you to go check that out. It'll be linked right up in the card. But anyway, there are a couple of prerequisites that you're going to need before you begin. The very first thing you're going to need is a computer, obviously. And the second thing you're going to need is a flash drive that's at least 4 gigabytes in size. And of course, internet access will also be really helpful in order to download the ISO and the software required to flash it to a flash drive if you don't already have that. And I just want to warn, in this video, I'm just going to be doing a fresh, clean install of Elementary OS, so I'm not going to be dual booting because I'm kind of designing this video with the Mac users in mind, and since I don't have a Mac to install this on, I can't really show you how to dual boot Elementary OS and macOS, but there are plenty of useful guides online for how to install Elementary OS on a dual boot with macOS. But anyway, without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so first thing you're going to do is head over to elementary.io, Elementary OS's official website, and I'll have that linked in the description. So we're just going to scroll down, and then here we have an option to donate to the project, or purchase Elementary OS, as they call it. If you decide that you like Elementary OS, and it's within your means, I would encourage you to come back and donate to the project. But for now, since we're just trying it out, I'm going to assume that you've never tried out Elementary OS before. We're just going to put 0 since we don't want to donate right now. You can of course come back and donate later, but not yet. And we're gonna just download Elementary OS. Just click download, and then you're gonna obviously save the file. So now I've actually already got this downloaded beforehand. I've got it right here in my ISOs folder. So what I'm gonna do is open up my hypervisor. Now I'm doing this in a virtual machine, but the behavior and everything is gonna be the same as it would on a physical machine. What I'm gonna do is open up my virtual machine, and I've already got the ISO file loaded in here. Now what you need to do is then go and create a bootable USB flash drive out of that media. So what you do is you go ahead and download a program like Etcher, link in the description, and then put your ISO file to it, and then follow the on-screen instructions to get that flash to a flash drive. It's actually pretty straightforward. But anyway, I'm gonna go boot up this virtual machine, and I'm gonna boot from my Elementary OS disk. Now keep in mind that in this video, I'm demonstrating on a blank virtual disk that has never had any operating system installed before. I kind of want to more design this video with the Mac user in mind. I don't really have the resources to be able to install Elementary OS on a dual boot with macOS, so that's why I'm doing it that way. But anyway, once we're booted into the installer, we're going to select our language and our keyboard layout, and we can type here to test our keyboard out. Looks good. And Elementary OS allows you to try it out from the ISO, so if you wanted to go that route, which I would actually suggest trying it out first from the ISO, just to make sure everything works before you actually go and install it. However, I'm going to just wipe this disk and install Elementary OS. Now this will erase everything that's already on your drive, so make sure you have a backup copy of everything, or at the very least be 100% sure that there's nothing on it that you need. But anyway, I'm just going to go erase disk and install. Now if you're going to be installing this in a virtual machine, you'd get this message. I would just ignore it. Like, the whole point of this message is that it might not perform as expected in a virtual machine compared to on real hardware. Now if you're installing this on a real physical machine, you won't get this message. But anyway, I'm just going to ignore this, and then all you got to do is just select our internal drive and then erase and install. So now what you can do here is, if you're opting for the clean install option, this will allow you to set up full disk encryption. Now you can't set this up later after installing. This has to be done in the installer. In fact, I would actually strongly recommend you do this if you're just a single user. If you're sharing this with multiple users, then home folder encryption might be more practical for you, and I'll go over that in part 5 of this series. But anyway, for now, since this is just a virtual install that I'm just setting up for demonstration purposes, I'm going to select Don't Encrypt. And then it's going to go ahead and install Elementary OS. So now this will take a while, so I'll speed this up. Alright, then once it's rebooted, all we have to do is select our language again and our keyboard layout, and then we just need to punch in our name, select our username. I think just Drew is fine, all lowercase. And no, you're not allowed capitals in a username on Linux. But anyway, let's go choose a password, and then we can go select our device name. I'm gonna pick something more cosmetic like elementary 6.1. That's what I called this VM, and then finish the setup. And now all I have to do is log in. And now we are in our desktop. So now this will basically give us an overview of the operating system and allow us to choose our theme. It's up to you how you like it. I actually like the dark theme better, and I'll go with the red theme. You can of course change this later in settings. How to do that, that's something for part 3 of this series. You can toggle on and off our night light here. I think there's a slight difference, not sure if that shows up for you. I don't really like to automatically delete trash files, definitely not downloaded files, but old temporary files, yes. And these will be deleted every 30 days, whatever you selected. And then this is where we can connect online accounts. I'm not gonna bother. This will allow us to browse the App Center, and this has a link to our system settings, which I'd recommend going through very first time you install any piece of software. Look at its settings to get all your preferences set up the way you like them. But anyway, let's just get started. And the reason why this display isn't scaling up to the full resolution is because this is in a virtual machine. But if you're doing this on a physical machine, this should scale up to your screen's native resolution. So don't worry about that. But anyway, we're done. And that's how to install Elementary OS. So thanks for watching. If you liked this video, found it was helpful, hit the like button, share this video with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. And in my next video, I'll be going over navigating Elementary OS. So stay tuned for that.